What's happening there, guys, and welcome back to Unveiling Wild. In today's video, we'll be telling you guys about these amazing underwater discoveries that will blow your mind. So let's not waste any more time and get started right away. Number 10, the immortal jellyfish. We humans are fascinated by the idea of cheating death. After all, there's a reason why the Final Destination franchise was so popular during its time and is still well known even today. Well, this immortal jellyfish, scientifically known as Turritopsis dohrnii, exists in real life. When it dies, that's when things get really exciting. It sinks to the ocean floor and begins to decay. Amazingly, its cells then reaggregate, not only into a new medusa, but polyps, and from these polyps emerge new jellyfish. Throughout their life cycle, jellyfish take on two different body forms, medusa and polyps. Polyps can reproduce asexually by budding, while medusae spawn eggs and sperm to reproduce sexually. The jellyfish has skipped to an earlier life stage to begin again. The species T. dohrnii was first described by scientists in 1883. It was 100 years later in the 1980s that their immortality was accidentally discovered. Number 9. Underwater icicles. Imagine watching a movie about a silent killer formed below the sea ice, and this killer ends up freezing everything it touches during the Arctic and Antarctic water. It'd be an amazing movie now, wouldn't it? Oh, also plot twist, the killer isn't an animal. Rather, it's one of nature's weirdest quirks, the brine icicle or brinacle. Everything we've just said is true. The brinacle actually exists. It was first discovered in the 1960s. Furthermore, it wasn't focused upon much until BBC's Frozen Planet captured footage in 2011. This is a slow-growing halostalactite of ice. This forms on the bottom of the sea ice in winter and slides to the ocean floor. With time, as sea ice begins to develop, salt is expelled from the ice, which causes leaks in the surrounding water. As a result, the ice becomes porous. The resulting brine is highly saline and much colder than ordinary seawater, which freezes at around -2 degrees Celsius. As it begins to descend into the depths, a sheath of seawater forms around it in an icicle-like shape. The water in the icicle itself doesn't freeze, as its density has increased and its freezing temperature has lowered because of the high salinity. Number 8. The Lost City of HERACLEION. The city of HERACLEION submerged deep under the sea for thousands of years. It was barely more than a legend. It was mentioned in a few rare inscriptions and ancient texts, and that was it. However, upon searching for years, by screening the huge area of the Abu Qir Bay off the coast of Egypt, finally, in the year 2000, French archaeologist Franck Gaudio and his group saw a huge face rise out of the watery shadows. Gaudio finally had an encounter with HERACLEION. HERACLEION was completely submerged 6.5 kilometers off Alexandria's coast. Along the underwater ruminants were 64 ships, 700 anchors, a treasure trove of gold coins, statues standing at 16 feet, and most notably, the remains of a massive temple to the god Amun-Jurub, and the tiny sarcophagi, stone coffins for the animals that were brought there as offerings. The ruins and artifacts made from granite and diorite are remarkably preserved and give a glimpse into what was 2,300 years ago, one of the great port cities of the world. Number 7. The remnant of a dead star. When stars run out of fuel, they die. However, sometimes they end up producing a powerful explosion, which is known as a supernova. These supernovas release materials which spread all across the universe. Now, astronomers from the Australian National University have discovered traces of a supernova right here on Earth, buried in the Indian Ocean. The remainings of the ancient supernova are said to have landed here on Earth around 33,000 years ago. That's all well and good, but you may be wondering how the researchers knew the discovery was indeed from an ancient supernova. It's because they found traces of radioactive iron isotopes in the sediment samples collected. This type of iron isotope, known as 60 Fe, is not produced here on Earth. It can only be found in cosmic rays, which means it must have been generated and ejected during a supernova explosion. Number 6. Spanish galleon San Jose. The Spanish galleon San Jose sank off the coast of Colombia in the year 1708. It was rediscovered by Colombian officials in 2015 near Cartagena. The San Jose was called the Holy Grail of shipwrecks. It was said to have contained loot items, primarily gold, silver, and emeralds, worthy of $17 to $22 billion. Although archaeologists and historians were excited by the news, the question of ownership quickly emerged, with Spain and the United States both attempting to overthrow Colombia's claim. It was a mess at the time. Number 5. The Hidden Islands of Gondwana. A piece of an ancient continent that was covering the distance from India to Madagascar has been discovered beneath the tiny island of Mauritius, which is located off the east coast of Africa. This lost continent was part of a supercontinent, Gondwana. The supercontinent began to break apart about 200 million years ago. The small piece of crust was covered by lava from volcanic eruptions on the island. This piece of crust is 3 billion years old. The scientists who published the study in the journal Nature Communications said there were several pieces of the undiscovered continent, which they call Mauritia, found around the Indian Ocean from the breakup of Gondwana. According to the new results, this breakup didn't involve a simple splitting of the ancient supercontinent of Gondwana, said Wits University geologist Louis Ashwall in a statement. Number 4. The underwater crop circles. In specific regions of the oceans, divers know to look for underwater crop circles, which is embellished symmetrical patterns temporarily carved into the sandy sea floor. These crop circles were discovered in Japan in the year 1995. No one had been able to explain this phenomenon. However, now we know the main species responsible for these crop circles, and they're none other than pufferfish. The team of researchers behind the finding declared that the huge geometrical structures play a role in this species' mating rituals. According to Life Science, males laboriously flap their fins as they swim along the seafloor, resulting in disrupted sediment and amazing circular patterns. Although the fish are only about 12 centimeters or 15 inches long, the formations they make measure about 2 meters or 7 feet in diameter. It takes about 7 to 9 days for the pufferfish to construct the circles. Number 3. The MOLINERE Underwater Sculpture Park. The ocean is the most incredible exhibition space an artist could ever wish for, words from famous underwater sculptor Jason DeCaires Taylor. Jason has sculptures all over the world, but as far as his addition to the already ravishing waters of Grenada, we can assure you that you will not find an underwater attraction as unique as this one. The Grenada Underwater Sculpture Park, as it's known, is home to several of the sculptor's creations and is the world's first ever underwater sculpture park. It's located off the west coast of Grenada. Number 2. The Underwater Train Graveyard. We've all heard of train graveyards, but have you heard of one that's located underwater? Under 90 feet of water lie 2 locomotives that were lost in the 1850s. This graveyard was found by chance by Paul Hepler back in 1985. Experts have examined the trains in their watery resting place. The locomotives appear to be rare Planet Class 222T models, a model that was only produced for a short time due to the unfortunate fact that they were obsolete almost as soon as they were produced. What remains a mystery, however, is how the 2 steam engines came to be sunk. There are no historical records of them being lost, just as there are no records of the engines being built in the first place. Number 1. LOKI'S Castle. LOKI'S Castle is a field of 5 active hydrothermal vents in the mid-Atlantic Ocean, located at 73 degrees north to the mid-Atlantic ridge between Greenland and Norway at a depth of 2,352 meters or 7,717 feet. The vents were discovered in mid-July 2008 and are the most northerly black smokers to date. They're of geological interest as they occur in a relatively stable region of the Earth's crust, one with diminished tectonic forces and consequently fewer hydrothermal vents. The vents were discovered by a 25-person multinational scientific expedition of the University of Bergen, Norway, more than 120 nautical miles, 220 kilometers north of what were previously the northernmost known, discovered in 2005. And that about wraps up our video. So, what do you guys think? Let us know everything down in the comments section below, and lastly, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And with that, we'll see you again next time in another video. So until then, take care, and bye for now.